Friday morning, May 1st. It was a clear morning, chilly, but comfortable. Sunrise was a minute or two before 6 a.m. Hard rains, wet weather the day before. It was a quiet morning, except for the chirping of the neighborhood birds. The ongoing storm is still ongoing. The storm? Coronavirus. COVID-19 if you want to sound smart. We're all in different boats during this storm. On this day, however, places like golf courses reopen. Schools are closed and will remain closed until who knows.
Well, it was a typical quarantine Friday morning here at the Super household.
Yeah, I got up early like I typically do, getting ready for work. Left the bedroom, went down to the living room, put on the TV, laid on the couch, scrolled through the typical nonsense of Facebook and Twitter. Then I made a couple cups of coffee, packed my lunch for the day, and I went down to the basement to change.
But it was at this time something startled him.
Yeah, I heard little kid footsteps coming down the stairs, from the second floor down to the first floor. I looked at the clock. It wasn't even 7 yet.
I wake up early. I wake up when the sun comes through the window.
It was 6:52 a.m. The kids were up. Nicholas already had YouTube on the TV. Do you like YouTube?
Yeah. I like to see fun YouTubers.
Nathan was on his phone as their dad walked upstairs from the basement.
Well, I like to play Roblox in the morning.
It wasn't even 7 o'clock. It wasn't even 7 o'clock.
Before leaving for work, he had to voice his displeasure to his wife.
Yeah, I went to the bedroom to tell her I was leaving for work, and I wasn't happy.
Well, I wasn't mad because they will come downstairs and just put on the television and sit quietly until I come down.
You kidding me? Get back to bed.
If you don't want us to wake up early, buy some butter blinds.
Our children don't understand the concept of sleeping in, apparently.
Yeah, then I left. I didn't even say goodbye. They didn't even notice. She called me a couple hours later.
8:32 a.m. A phone call that lasted 8 minutes. They talked about what just happened at home.
She told me about blood. I asked if everyone was okay, and once she said yes, I asked if she got any video.
What was his reaction?
His reaction was that, thank goodness it was, his first question is, did you get a camera and video it? And I said no, because I'm not you and I'm not that obnoxious.
Everything was fine, so go grab a camera. Your phone is already on you. It's not that hard.
And he said if it were me and it was yesterday when I was home with them, I would have recorded it before doing anything else.
Not true. Not true. Everything is fine. It's fine.
It's blood and we need to take care of it, because you should always take care of the head wound first. Life skill 101. You immediately take care of the head wound. We do not grab a camera.
I was home Thursday. I was home Saturday. Nothing exciting. And this is the day I'm not around.
So backtrack. What did happen and what led to the bloody event?
We've been teaching Nathan life skills during quarantine. And one of those life skills is making breakfast.
The easiest thing that I make is waffles.
And he makes it for himself and for Nicholas.
Does he make good breakfast?
Yes.
What does he usually make for you?
Waffles.
Yes, I do make breakfast for my brother, and he makes a face like this when I make it for him. So I start putting the waffles into the toaster, and then I take them out when the timer is up. I put them on the plate, pour orange juice, and then bring it into the living room.
Where do you eat breakfast?
In the living room.
And then when I'm done eating, I wash my dishes. My mom washes my brother's dishes and her dishes, and I start my schoolwork.
So when did you start making your own breakfast?
Like a couple weeks ago, and yeah.
No. He's been making breakfast. So probably about 2 weeks into quarantine, which I guess at this point would be about 5 weeks ago, Nathan started making waffles.
Has he gotten better at it?
I don't know how you can get better at making waffles.
He makes the best breakfast.
I don't know that anybody would really care because it's all the same toaster, but according to Nicholas, he probably likes Daddy's better.
Nathan.
Cinnabons. I don't make wimpy waffles.
What time did you get up out of bed? About?
About 7 to go downstairs and start the day. Exercise.
What was Mommy doing?
She was just downstairs working.
I exercise down in the basement.
Yeah, she's always in the basement working in the morning. So busy.
She was in the basement and she closed the door and she was working out. But I screamed for her and she couldn't hear me, so I screamed louder and she heard me and she came upstairs and was screaming too. She was yelling, not screaming.
Oh my gosh!
That was not the first attempt to get Mom's attention. But why did they need Mom so badly? What happened on Friday?
So when I woke up, I was about to go into the kitchen to make breakfast. I plugged in the toaster first. Wait. No, that's what I didn't. That's what I'm supposed to do.
First thing he did, which is not the order that I taught him in, he opens the freezer door.
I plugged in the toaster.
And then he turned around to go get the waffles out of the freezer.
And then all hell broke loose.
Bumped my head really hard onto the corner of the freezer door.
And there's the freezer door, and he walked into it really hard. When it happened, I had no idea. I didn't get the full story until afterwards.
So you opened up the freezer, but you didn't take out the waffles?
No, I opened the freezer first, and then I plugged in the waffle machine.
He called it a waffle machine. He called it a waffle machine.
He's so ridiculous.
So you opened up the freezer, but you didn't take the waffles out?
No, not yet. Till I plugged in the toaster, I turned around and I bumped my head onto the corner of the freezer door. I was about to get the waffles and then...
Now, I have, on countless occasions, when putting groceries away, have put something in the freezer, turned to grab something else, go to put it in the freezer, and the door is right there because the door closes on its own. So you have to know that if the door is going to close on its own, when you turn around, it's going to be there. So you got to be careful. Nathan doesn't know this.
Has this ever happened to you?
No.
Have you had any battles with the freezer door?
No.
Did it hurt?
Dumb question. Next!
Where were you when he started yelling?
In the living room, and then I heard him scream, and then I run to the kitchen.
When I looked, I was screaming that there was blood everywhere.
I was back in the living room, and then I think I needed to see again, and then I called Mommy as loud as I can.
How much blood?
Ooh, a lot.
What did you see when you got into the kitchen?
So all like the blood,
He saw the blood.
it looked like ketchup.
He wasn't screaming, he was like yelling.
Came out Nathan's head, and then some of it was on Nathan's head, and some of it was on the ground. A lot was on the ground.
What did you do when you saw the blood?
I just called Mommy one time, and then she didn't listen, and then I run back into the living room, and then I think I had it to see again, and then I called Mommy a lot of times until she came up.
She couldn't hear the cries for help. The volume in the basement was deafening. Do you have headphones on? Do you listen to music? Do you watch TV? What do you do?
I plug in the treadmill because it needs to be plugged in, and I turn on the television. I put on, on this day, I was watching My 600 Pound Life while I was on the treadmill.
My 600-pound life. Men and women, all of whom weigh at least 600 pounds, undergo gastric bypass surgery. The series follows the changes in their weight and in their lives over a year. How is this relevant to the story? How?
Because the treadmill's so loud, I have to turn the television up to like around between 60 and 70 because the television's not that loud. Well, before I go down to the basement, I come into the living room and I say good morning to my children, and we open up the blinds and I say to Nathan, why don't you go ahead and get breakfast together, and I'm going to go down and exercise, and then we'll get schoolwork started when I come back up.
How loud is the treadmill?
It's pretty loud because, I mean, let's be serious, it was a treadmill off of Amazon. It's not like the best quality treadmill, so it's pretty loud. I was on the treadmill for, it was probably about 2 minutes into my warm-up. Now, keep in mind, because I put the television between 60 and 70 and the treadmill is going, today, the very first time that I actually did this, because usually I'll leave the door open, I closed the door to the basement. I don't know why I decided to do that. I never leave the door closed. Well, then I hear screaming.
Was it a scream of terror or a scream of crying, I'm annoyed about something?
It first sounded like fighting screaming.
Were you afraid that the neighbors were going to call the cops?
No, I didn't really think about the neighbors. I think if they were going to call the cops on us, they probably would have by now because our children are very loud. A few seconds later, I heard Mom. That's what, usually when they're screaming fighting, they don't say Mom. They just fight. But then I heard Mom repeated. So as soon as I heard Mom, I knew I couldn't just yell what like I typically do because the door was closed and the treadmill was going and the TV was really loud. So when I heard Mom, I quickly jump off the treadmill and I start running up the steps. I get about halfway up the steps and I can tell it's screaming, crying Mom that's saying, Mom, Mom! And then this is what happened. There's blood everywhere! There's so much blood! And that's when I went quicker.
Was that Nathan saying that?
That was Nathan. I come in, the floor in front of the stove covered in pools of blood.
What was Nicholas doing at this time?
At this point, I know he was screaming too, but I don't know what he was screaming.
I was just in the living room and I didn't want to see again.
You didn't want to see what again?
I didn't want to see the blood. It scared me.
But I come up, I open the door, and Nathan's on his knees, and there is blood everywhere on the floor. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then, but...
She got napkins and put them on my forehead.
Yeah, when she finally was up, I came back into the living room and then I was like on the couch because I thought the blood was gonna get bigger and bigger.
It was a lot of blood.
She got more wipes and cleaned the floor.
I go get more paper towels for his head. I take it off of his head. Of course, it's like soaked in blood. I'm like, okay. But once I took it off the head, nothing more was coming out. My initial thoughts when I came running up the steps after the screaming was that he burned himself on the toaster, or he electrocuted himself on the toaster, or something, like that he plugged in the toaster and got zapped. I don't know. Then I heard there's so much blood. We've had a head injury before.
Yeah, Nicholas hit his head under the dining room table a few years ago. It might have been between his first and second birthday.
The one day he stood underneath the table and banged the top of his head on a sharp corner of the table. A lot of blood came out.
Did you ever bleed?
No.
A lot of blood came out. Nicholas being blonde, made it look a lot worse. So I did not panic. I did not take him to the emergency room like I wanted to at the time because, he was a baby still and head wounds bleed a lot. Don't panic. Clean it up. Make sure it stops. And you're fine.
What event had more blood?
Because this was a lot more blood than the Nicholas head wound. But I also watched Nicholas hit his head, so I caught it before that much blood came out. Unfortunately, Nathan was probably up here a good 30 seconds bleeding. I immediately go grab a wad of paper towels, put it on his head. I make him hold it because, you know, at this point his arms are covered in blood, his leg is, he's got it dripping down his leg, it's dripping down his face. He looked like he got in a major fight.
I'm picturing the face of William Wallace. You know, Braveheart, William Wallace? Yeah.
They may take our lives, but they would never take our freedom.
I get more paper towels. I wipe up the pools of blood on the floor. Of course, just wiping it up with a wet paper towel leaves stains on the floor. Blood stains on the floor. You know, when I tried to sell this house in a year, we don't need giant blood stains.
Then I took a shower to get all the blood off my leg. And then when I got out of the shower, she was done cleaning the floor. She put the Band-Aid on after I got out of the shower.
Got his Star Wars Band-Aid on.
A Band-Aid.
Well, then he starts crying that he wanted a Band-Aid too. That's what Nicholas really was upset about. Nathan had a Star Wars Band-Aid, so Nicholas wanted a Star Wars Band-Aid.
So you wanted a Band-Aid?
Yeah, 'cause I love Band-Aids.
He proceeded to scream for the next 15 minutes until I got him his own Star Wars Band-Aid. Put that on his face, toughing it out together.
Now the aftermath. What happened when everything calmed down?
Sent emails to his teacher, said, listen, head injury, he's gonna take the day. He's gonna take the day and just...
No schoolwork.
So his teachers, wonderful teachers, love them. He laid down on the couch, I gave him an ice pack, he whined about that because, you know, the ice pack was too hard.
Look at this thing. Look how hard this is.
Neither of them have eaten breakfast at this point. So I made them breakfast. Through all of this, treadmill's still going, television's still at 70, and my app is still going, and my watch is still tracking my exercise. So I still burned 186 calories in the time that I went up and took care of all of this. So I got a workout in according to Fitbit, and that was that.
What do you think's gonna happen on Monday?
I'm still gonna let him make breakfast. You gotta learn the hard way. Now he's learned his lesson. Kids have to do something stupid to learn. They don't always learn, unfortunately. Monday, I think I might teach him how to do the laundry. Gotta learn something else. I don't think he can hurt himself there. He might be scared to make breakfast tomorrow, and I actually asked him that, but...
I'm not gonna be that nervous because now I know you always have to plug in the toaster first and then you open the freezer door to get the waffles. So I'm not that scared now.
I'm gonna force him to do it because he's never gonna I'm not making him breakfast for the rest of his life.
Are you gonna make breakfast for yourself at some point?
Well, maybe when I am Nathan's age right now, I would be careful.
What will be your reaction if he does the exact same thing again on Monday?
I will have no sympathy. Final thoughts? I don't know. I love my children. I do. I mean, he's got to learn the hard way sometimes. Oh, and I did tell Nicholas, if something like this were to happen again, don't stand upstairs and scream. Come and get me. Like, actually open the door and come down and get me.
If it happens again, I hope Nathan just screams and then I'll hear him. I'll see if it's really big or not so big, and then I'll call mommy and I'll tell her if it's really big or not so big.
So what did you learn?
What I learned was always plug in the toaster first and then open the door and get the waffles.
So what did you learn?
If someone's bleeding, you have to tell your mom or dad that someone's bleeding. Even if 2 or 3 people are bleeding, and go around the house and see if more people are bleeding.
Did you treat him to a special lunch that day?
We had a nice lunch.
We had Chick-fil-A at lunchtime.
And Daddy got himself Taco Bell, but, you know, he wasn't there for the head wound.
Taco Bell. Crunchwrap Supreme, triple layer nacho, a beef chalupa, 2 soft tacos. I think that was it.
So he treated himself to a special lunch that day too.
Taco Bell.
Don't hit your head on the freezer, kids.
You think Nathan's gonna be all right?
Yeah, for now. For now.